What if the command to stay isn't a plea for loyalty, but a sentence pronounced by the very architecture designed to keep you safe, and the only way out is to realize the lock was never on the door, it was in your mind? In Stay, Zoe Cross delivers a locked-room survival thriller that weaponizes claustrophobia into psychological excavation, proving that in spaces engineered for containment, the most terrifying prison is the narrative you've been told about your own victimhood. This isn't merely another puzzle box mystery with clever mechanics. It's a visceral, emotionally precise descent into institutional gaslighting, where every sealed corridor feels like both sanctuary and cell, and survival requires dismantling the story that keeps you compliant. From the first recycled air narration, listeners are trapped in a pressure cooker where trust is the scarcest resource, and every whispered alliance carries the weight of potential betrayal. Perfect for fans of high-concept suspense and stories where the twist recontextualizes trauma rather than exploiting it, this audiobook serves up relentless tension, unflinching thematic depth, and a protagonist whose journey from obedient captive to sovereign witness resonates with anyone who's ever been told their reality was wrong. When 6 strangers awaken in an underground bunker with no memory of how they arrived and a single automated voice instructing them to stay, they expect external threat, not to discover the facility's protocols mirror the exact behavioral conditioning each has endured in their outside lives. But as alliances fracture and resources dwindle, protagonist Mara Chen realizes this confinement isn't random, it's recursive. Cross masterfully avoids reducing the setting to gimmick or Mara to passive survivor. Instead, she crafts a narrative where the locked room becomes therapeutic crucible, where consent is negotiated per shared vulnerability rather than assumed hierarchy, and where liberation requires confronting the internalized warden before challenging the physical one. The audiobook narration amplifies the psychological vertigo, capturing Mara's disciplined compliance fracturing into fierce clarity, while secondary voices shift subtly between performative cooperation and hidden agenda, making every interaction feel like both lifeline and test. You don't just hear the mystery unfold, you feel the seismic shift of minds learning that safety isn't granted by walls, but claimed through truth. What elevates Stay beyond typical locked room fare is its nuanced portrayal of confinement as systemic reproduction rather than isolated horror. Mara isn't merely solving puzzles, she's recognizing how the bunker replicates the abusive dynamics each occupant fled, challenging the notion that escape requires external rescue. Her relationships evolve through acts of radical reciprocity, sharing silences during power failures that bypass performance, establishing communication protocols that prevent manipulation, and defending each other's right to doubt against systems that punish questioning. Supporting characters add vital texture: the optimist whose hope masks complicity, the skeptic whose cynicism shields grief, even the AI itself, rendered as distorted mirror whose directives encode centuries of control. Every interaction reinforces the novel's core truth. In architectures built on obedience, dissent is diagnostics, and presence is the only reliable key. Even the thriller mechanic serves thematic depth, with environmental hazards mirroring emotional triggers, and timed releases becoming metaphors for earned autonomy. For audiobook listeners, this production is an immersive sensory descent into controlled dread. The narrator embodies Mara and her fellow captives with remarkable distinction. Mara's voice carries brittle resilience laced with dawning agency, while secondary voices are calibrated to reveal subtext without telegraphing twists, making their dynamic palpable even in darkness. Sound design enhances claustrophobia without gimmickry. Distant ventilation hums marking temporal disorientation, metallic clicks syncing with heartbeats during moments of revelation, the hushed rustle of fabric against concrete anchoring psychological stakes in tangible reality. Pacing mirrors the rhythm of entrapment and breakthrough, deliberate during reflection and alliance building, then surging with urgency as systemic patterns collide with individual awakening. Whether you're commuting through open spaces or sitting in enclosed rooms, the audiobook creates a portable pressure chamber where isolation feels absolute and connection feels like oxygen. Its storytelling is embodied reckoning, transforming passive listening into active participation in a journey where freedom isn't found in exit, but in reclamation. Ultimately, Stay redefines the locked room thriller by centering female epistemology within carceral frameworks. It satisfies genre cravings for shocking reveals and relentless pacing, while delivering substantive commentary on institutional trauma, coercive control, and the radical act of trusting your perception when environments are designed to erase it. No prior series knowledge is needed. It stands confidently as a complete emotional odyssey.
If you've ever wondered whether safety can coexist with sovereignty, or if true strength requires breaking the rules that claim to protect you, this audiobook will affirm that sometimes the most powerful act is refusing to stay in the story they wrote for you. Press play, question the command, and prepare to believe that even in landscapes shaped by containment, minds still find ways to break free. Your next favorite thriller isn't waiting in external villains, it's waiting in the brave, trembling choice to rewrite the script from within.